we're joined by Menopausal Mayhem Mother Emma Skeates, who has channeled her wicked sense of humour and life experiences into blogs and her Facebook page, bringing laughter to her 250,000 followers daily. She doesn't hold back about her chaotic ability to turn anything into a spectacle, often followed by a round of applause from strangers, and has a remarkable tendency to fall over anywhere at any time. And it wasn't always going so well for her, though, because she was left suddenly single with young children, navigating a surgical early menopause and introducing her bonkers dog Spencer into the household. Welcome, Emma.
Hello, hello. Lovely to hear from you and speak to you. I'm very honoured on this Tuesday morning when nothing's going to happen normally.
Well, we finally got through all the tech bits, didn't we, to actually make sure that you could join us.
Talk about spoon feeding a 55-year-old. Dear heavens, yeah, no.
Oh, we're just as bad. We forget to hit record.
Or just generally anything we forget.
Yeah, or we're caught short, we're chatting away about something and then suddenly a guest arrives on a remote studio, like, oh God, here we go then.
And a phone call comes in at the same time from some salesperson.
But that is your brand, isn't it? I mean, you make chaotic into hilarious. Tell us a bit more about your blog and your Facebook page.
Oh my, yes. Well, I've sort of had no choice, really. Do you know what I mean? When you're trying to embrace, I think it all kind of, well, as I said to you earlier on, everything in my life has happened by accident, which in some cases has been really cool. And the path that it's taken me down. In some cases, at the time, it's been absolutely excruciating because I am essentially known as, the walking accident, need cones around me, the menopausal Bridget Jones. I am a cataclysmic catastrophe, essentially. But yes, and I love the word that I'm a brand. That terrifies me. I can't even begin to take. Can you imagine a brand that's kind of the antithesis of Michelin? Kind of. I don't just need tires around me. I have tires around me, which is good. It's good for the safety of the whole thing. But yes, the blog was born about a decade ago. And that was literally from pure, I would say it's a necessity from my part, from my mental health. I was probably back then, I was a single parent. I was struggling. I had just gone into the surgical menopause, and everybody else was leading this absolutely perfect life on social media, or social tedia, as I like it to be known, even though it's, it's helped me and helped many other women as well. But yeah, it's kind of the sales and marketing department of people's lives, isn't it, really? And I got fed up with that. Not only that, couldn't compete, had no money, had 2 kids, and as I say, cataclysmic disaster. So it was, I only had one option, which was to keep it real. And so with every sort of, obviously when you've got small children, you have to take them out and do things. Invariably, you forget one of the small children and have to go back and fetch said small child. And so, and then when you arrive at certain places, you're in the wrong place, wrong time, and it's all mortifying. Or you report your car stolen and it turns up, you've turned up in someone else's car and left your car at home because you've forgotten everything. Or whatever it is, at the time, it's mortifying. And you just sit there and think, oh, why me? Why me? And then you go home. And my default has always been to laugh. Find the funny in things. Because at the end of the day, we're only here for a really short period of time. And actually, you can always find the funny in something. You can. And I'm a girl who has been through a very, very messy divorce. I've done single parenting. I can literally personify loneliness. I've lost my mother after 3 bouts of cancer. I've got a godson who's just literally recovered from leukemia. Yay! But I can find the funny in everything, absolutely everything. And it's saved me. And as it turns out, it's saved quite a lot of people as well that I've written about my experiences. So yes, it's all good. It's all good. I think if you can find the funny in your menopause somehow, and trust me, I have suffered with some of the most debilitating, not just physical, but mainly psychological issues with the menopause, where I do sit in a corner and then I write about that as well. I sit in a corner and I cry and I rock backwards and forwards, and I sometimes worry about whether or not the brain tumor is actually growing, or whether it's just my estrogen flying off the chart, or that's I take HRT now, thank goodness. People don't keep sharp objects away from me. But yeah, you've got to laugh about it, maybe after the fact, and if not, laugh because I'm here And I've got enough anecdotes and enough hilarious, ridiculous stories to keep you all entertained somehow.
You certainly have. I loved that you actually invented a whole new syndrome for what you were going through, and you called it craft. Tell us about how craft has saved you and
It's a
every other woman.
Yeah, no, craft disease is real, and actually it works like a charm. And the only thing I would say about craft disease is that, and I need to say this quite clearly, I think, to ladies, craft disease. It's a very, very real off-flick symptom of the menopause. And if ever you find yourself in a situation where you are constantly forgetting something, or you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, or there's a meeting, I'm supposed to be there and I'm actually there. Craft disease is absolutely imperative to use, and it's all yours. It's a gift that I'm giving you for free. You've got to hold back on what it actually means, because it actually means can't remember a thing. Flipping thing. There we go. And that was used for the first time on my children's school secretary when I'd forgotten, I think, the 35th permission slip. Eventually, I went in with a blanket one. I actually wrote one that said, "You can take my children anywhere apart from Australia." And that was it.
And that was hard for you, Sorry, that was hard for you because you know, when your kids were young and you went through this surgical menopause, you were getting symptoms when other people are navigating sort of early parenthood and multitasking with ballet schedules and gymnastics and all this. And you're doing it as you're getting these debilitating symptoms that your doctor ends up sort of writing off as giving you, we've all heard this before, haven't you? Giving you antidepressants and take a pill, you'll get over it.
Yep, absolutely. And in fact, I had two of my dear friends at the time who were actually pregnant. And there were lots of mums in the playground that were pregnant. So you can imagine, not only do you have big fat failure written across your forehead because your husband's left you, but you also have, I'm now getting really old, crusty and barren, which is rather nice. Or so I thought. Little did I know that actually I was entering an amazing phase of my life, which was going to present me with just the most incredible opportunities. But yeah, it was very, very hard because I didn't go through the perimenopause. I literally woke up from surgery and my estrogen, obviously you have some residual estrogen left in your body. But essentially within about sort of a month, 2 months, I hit the menopause like a brick wall. And I was absolutely convinced that I had early onset dementia or a brain tumor, of course. And there were quite a lot of people that kind of tried to talk me into the fact that actually I'd always been a bit bonkers. And it was all good. It was just, yeah. But then, of course, it was the menopause. But it did have some really debilitating symptoms. I've always been a pretty sociable, outgoing person. I've had to be. But I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see anyone. And that was probably because of some of the things that happened to me whilst I was out. You know, I mean, with the totally untrained Labrador and falling over, as you say, taking the dog to the vet to have his injections, getting to the counter and the vet saying, oh, the receptionist asking me, where's the dog? And I said, oh, sorry, left him in the car. Anyway, go out to the car. No, left dog at home. Have to drive 20 minutes back to home. Dog, completely left the dog in the,
I have done that.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've been. I went for a walk and forgot the dog. Yeah, in the car. It's very easy to do. It's very easy to do.
Oh, if you're away with the fairies and your brain is distracted, I think that's one of the things that people forget is the menopause can be debilitating, but it's also the fact that we are modern women. We're juggling so many plates. I mean, I've got smashed plates all over my kitchen because it's sort of plate near mum. I'm now a wife, which is so unfortunate for my husband, but wife, housekeeper, dog walker. I work for a living. I'm a writer. I'm a columnist. I do all these mad things. I used to work in road safety. I mean, who came up with that idea? I used to turn up. Oh man, I used to turn up. This was the decade of my life. Sort of I think it was, I did some writing in between, sort of it overlapped. But yeah, I used to train the emergency services, which was just, and there's a lovely story for you. I had to do a presentation to the Chief Fire Officers Association, every chief fire officer in the country in Telford, which is about 4 hours drive away from where I live now. And I arrived there, opened the boot to get all my kit out, I was the main speaker, and my Labrador jumped out. I was like, what? And the guy from Kent, the chief, thank goodness he knew me. He said, what have you brought your dog for, Emma? And I said, well, I don't know. I don't actually know. He's not supposed to be here. He just crept in. And so I had to do this entire presentation with my dog, because he wouldn't let any of the firemen hold him, with my dog sitting by my side.
Wonderful.
And there was a wonderful moment where there were two chief fire officers who were female sitting in the front row. And it was a fairly serious presentation because basically what I did was I was training them on a software program for young people driving, because my girls, as most menopausal women are, we've got teenagers. And so it was very, very clear in my mind that this was something I wanted to do. In other words, train young drivers and help the emergency services to present what to do with young drivers. But there were two female ladies in the front row. And I said to both of them beforehand, could you please sit in the front row for me? Because I'm in the menopause, and I've spent my whole life doing presentations and public speaking, but I get completely lost, totally lost. Even with a PowerPoint presentation on behind me, I've totally forgotten my glasses. And I've got a Labrador with me. So could you, as soon as you see the vacant look come across my face, both of you concentrate and just, when I give you that look, can you just tell me where I am? In the whole and bless their hearts, because one of them was about 46, 47. She said, I think I might be going through this. She said, but I'm too young. I said, you're not. I promise you, you're not. And that was when I was leading, when I say leading a professional life, I'd love to think I am now, but I'm so not. But yeah, it was that can be debilitating for women. But for me, yeah, I did lose my place. Everybody, the dog gassed the place out the whole time that I was doing this tour. I mean, it was a resounding failure, I think.
But memorable, I'm sure. Very memorable.
There are chief fire officers all over the country that still talk about it, apparently. And apparently most of them follow me on social media, which is insane.
Well, there you go.
Didn't you do... Talking about fire officers, I don't know why I'm linking it to this, but didn't you do a calendar with a lot of mates to raise money for a cancer charity? Like a calendar Girls Gone, Love Island, Midlife or something?
It was Midlife Love Island. That's absolutely right. Middle-aged Love Island. That was all in the Daily Mirror, or the Sunday Mirror, I think. Oh my God, yes, all of us in the back garden in our swim costumes. And that was funny. Sadly, the calendar never took place, actually. Although I got sent hundreds and hundreds of pictures, because actually, you mentioned that I've now the blog has got 400,000 followers, and it's growing. It's just mad. Women just need desperately, I think, a bit of relatability, and that was what was beautiful about the calendar, was that we were 5 friends that had all grown up together. We'd all hit, I think probably back then, maybe 52, 53. We all had the old muffin top. Our bodies were not what they used to be, but we got our kit off for a great big Sunday newspaper, big double-page spread. But the reason the calendar didn't happen was because I got hacked. The chap that hacked me, I'd so wish he'd been Brad Pitt or something like that. But no, he was some really strange guy who just posted pictures of anacondas. How random is that? So yeah, I couldn't even market the thing, but I am going to do it one day, because it was something that it really, really captured the imagination of women. Because that's another thing that we talk about all the time, is that our bodies change shape. I mean, I'm the only woman in history who gained 4.5 stone for her wedding. That why random, totally random. And I did have a bit of notice for my wedding, as most brides do. Forgot to get a wedding dress and left my own wedding early, 3 hours before my husband, because I was so fat. As I say, I mean, I've managed to lose the weight now, and that's been through I think HRT and just boxing a little bit clever in terms of learning what my body's doing right now and why it's so different to when I was in my 20s. But yes, on my wedding day, if one more person had have come up to me and tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You look very lovely in your dress," I would have think, I'd have been in jail by now. There'd have been right hooks swung. I mean, and so at 10 o'clock, I took my children and said to my then husband, "Oh no, he's still my husband. Sorry, yes, another little memory loss there, the brain fog. Yes, my now husband, then husband, just went over and said, 'I'm off,' and he said, 'What? The wedding? What do you mean you're off?' I said, 'The dog's thrown up.' 'Ah, you're leaving our wedding because the dogs went up. And I was trying to, when you're trying to make eye contact with someone, as if to say, I have to get out of here. And because I'd worn a 1920s flapper dress, or as I call it, slapper dress, because it was essentially a sack with sequins on. And I looked like a large potato in a large sequin dress. And even that didn't cover up my gut. I was so big at that point, and I was miserable, absolutely miserable. And so, yes, I left. I scooped my children up. They were very glad. They'd been at it all day. And my husband was amazing because he said, it doesn't matter. But there was the menopause right there. Anxiety, feeling low, feeling crap about myself, feeling fat, had to get out of there, was done with, there were people everywhere, and sensory overload. Took myself home. The dog actually had thrown up.
Yay! You weren't fibbing.
Nice one, Fletch. Oh, and that was Spencer. I know that because I slipped in it as I came in my brand new flapper shoes, in my 1920 shoes. And just remember sitting there and thinking, this menopause is really fun. I'm really glad I left my own wedding with 200 people out there, in the marquee. But we did it. We did round two. We did do round two. Once I'd got some estrogen into my body, got some HRT, eaten a few mushrooms. Not the weird kind, by the way, everybody.
Obviously.
Mushrooms just really good for the menopause.
But you are by turns both really, really funny and then incredibly self-deprecating. And you turned all these fab little anecdotes and stories about yourself into a book called Confessions of a Menopausal Mayhem Mother, which very excitingly is being turned into a film, isn't it? So how did that come about?
It is the most extraordinary 2 years of my life. As I said to you, everything that I do it all comes about because I'm basically a walking disaster and an accident. And so many people over the years have been saying to me, you should write a book, you should write a book. And I got courtesy of the husband that I'm with now, the one who I just denied having all knowledge
and staying with,
we did double English together. Yeah, that's him. He's around somewhere, I think. Either that or he's just fallen off a ladder and is unconscious in the corner. It all happens around here. But yes, him and I did double English together, and I flunked it quite spectacularly, and that's his fault. But so yes, when I said to him, people keep saying to me I should write a book, and he said, well, that's vastly ridiculous. You can't even spell, let alone. So, but then my mum passed away from, as I say, her third battle with cancer, and what dawned on me at that moment was, if I didn't do it now, there was no tomorrow for some people. So I thought, okay, to deal with my grief, I'm just going to sit. I always try and find the funny, and I sat and started writing about the story of when it's like with every woman on this planet, I think, maybe bar one, and I can't think of who she is because she doesn't exist, that every woman on this planet has a plan, right? We have this plan to either do something really conventionally or really unconventionally. And I actually I wanted to go down the conventional route. So I started off in my 30s, I got married, and the book I'll give you the first line of the book, 2 blue lines. How the hell did that happen? I'm married to somebody who doesn't love me and hasn't come near me for a very long time. And that's the opening line of the book. And so it's the story of Emma going through pregnancy, Emma then giving birth to a baby that she hadn't quite planned in her mind. God only knows what was going through my head when I was growing and growing and growing. Of course, there was a baby going to come out. I just was in denial about it. Then had the baby, then had another baby, then husband left, and that's hilarious as well. I've actually managed to find funny in the moment that the father of my children just ducked out. My youngest was 4 months old. It was over the phone. He did it. And so it's the story. So I've written this, and it is side-splittingly funny because A, it's all true, and B, the stuff that happened in that period you would not believe. There's even blind dating stories in there. Utterly priceless. I was on the Russell Howard show telling one of the stories because nobody would believe it. But yeah, so it's the story of, the wrecking ball comes in, you've got to pick up the pieces. Then I meet current husband at a school reunion. That was hilarious. That was once again all by accident. And then, so I wrote this book, and I wrote it very quickly. It's the contents of my head, as you can hear, the way I talk.
It is you talking. Your style is just you putting it all down on paper. And Liz and I, when we were talking about it, we said, do you think all of this is true?
But now we're chatting to you. Yep.
Do you really think she falls over as much as she says she does?
Oh, honestly, I'm well known for it in the village. People wave me off and say, "Stay safe, Emma, stay safe." Oh my goodness. And I have conversations with full-grown men who are actually cartoons on the side of trucks, and people are filming it because they realize that I have no idea that it's just there's a truck there. But I've also, at that point, something will have happened beforehand. Oh, and some of the stuff, yeah. I mean, you've heard the pub garden story where the dog basically, it had a rabbit in its mouth, and there were children screaming, and I had to try and rugby tackle the dog. Eventually, had to tie the dog to the bench, and then the dog shot off, and the bench collapsed. Bottle of wine all over. All of it.
All of it's so visual, Emma. It was made to be in a movie, wasn't it?
So how it happened was, I published this book myself because I thought there's no publisher in their right mind who's ever going to publish this book. And within 2 weeks, it had outsold Meghan Markle's book and Kate Middleton's book. And I remember when my agent at the time, who I was working with, said, "Emma, look, you're number 2 bestseller in comedy, and also in something to do with women's. I can't even remember. Brain fog." And I said, yeah, very funny, Tracy. And she said, "No, look," and she sent me a screenshot, and I just looked, and I could not believe it. I mean, it was absolutely mind-blowing. And then so what happened was, obviously, school. I've just figured my mum had gone out and just bulk bought the whole lot. Oh no, God, she couldn't. She was dead. I've just said that out loud. Oh God. Oh, how can I take that back? I can't. Okay, it's out there. I said it. Mum, sorry.
But it's
anyway. My dad, he might have gone out and bulk bought them. He probably would have gone out and bulk bought them so nobody else could read them because the language is so choice. Anyway, so yeah, I think a lot of my school friends bought them just for a laugh because they knew what was coming. And one particular friend had obviously handed her copy over to another friend who just happened to work for a very large film company. I can't say who it is at this stage, but it starts with a U. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
Because you can't remember.
Yeah, no, there we go. I knew I was pushing on an open door with a couple of menopausal women. So yes, a very large. No, not. I was going to say a very large lady. I have no idea how large she is because I haven't actually met her in real life. I've only seen her on. I'm sure she's very tiny and very petite. So I'm really sorry, Helen. I'm going to give you her first name. Whoops, done it again. So this lovely lady she was getting on a plane to go on holiday, and she said to this other lady, "I don't suppose you've got a decent book I can read on the plane? Done with reading scripts." And Rachel handed to this lady, Helen, my book, and she said, "Read it. You will not regret it. It's hilarious." And 2 weeks later, an email dropped into my inbox saying, "I have read your book. You have got me into all kinds of trouble. I had my earplugs in on a flight to Madrid, and I got told off twice by the stewardess for laughing." I mean, I don't know why I'm proud of this because actually she's laughing at me, let's be honest. And she said, "We have to make a film out of this, and so entered a massive dialogue. That was 2 years ago. And what we decided to do is they're very much still on board with this. But I didn't want it to be Hollywooded. I didn't want it to be polished and perfect and beautiful. And I didn't want, I don't know, some American actress playing me. I wanted it to be British and cozy, and I wanted it to be a Shirley Valentine story. I wanted it to be brassed off. I wanted it to be Withnell and I wanted it to be something really English and quaint and warm, like something, someone putting a blanket on your shoulders, because it's a story of hope. That's the bottom line. It's a story of hilarity. The big wrecking ball, as I say, comes in, then a big bunch of laughter and hilarity, little bit of hope, little douse of hope thrown in, loads of the menopause. And it's been handled beautifully by an award-winning screenwriter called Simon Golding. And I've got a fantastic guy called Jason Figgis. He's an award-winning director. We've got Amanda Abington playing me.
Amazing.
Yeah, Amanda Abington, who's just, I handpicked her because I love her so much. She's one of the funniest, most brilliant, kindest, sweetest. She's so like me. It's terrifying. And as a result, her and I have become great friends. We're looking at hopefully Sarah Parish. Sarah Parish wants to have a look at the script. We've got the possibility of a chap called Paul Sparks, who's shown an interest, a chap called Tony Way, who is in Afterlife. And we're hoping that Miriam Margolyes might play a gynecologist. That is all
my goodness.
at the moment of the beautiful Jason Figgis. But yes, it's a really cozy, fun cast. And we've got the possibility, really faint, but very distinct. I go, when I decide on something, I'm a bit of a bulldog, and I never say something. A couple of really big Hollywood names as playing cameos. But yeah, it's the script, the actual script itself is being presented to the gorgeous Amanda in the next couple of weeks. And then it's just a matter of Jason, and I'm a co-producer on it, so it's just a matter of getting all our ducks in a row. And then, yeah, we start filming.
Oh, hello. We've just had Ed join us too. That's so cool.
It's
lovely to meet you, Ed.
And you. Sorry to interrupt.
You've just rolled out of Dad's army. Go
Which character?
Else. It's cold out there.
So that's the lovely Ed, isn't it, who inspired you with your blog and everything, and is very patient as a man, I would imagine.
He's referred to as the beloved. For quite some time, he didn't want to be identified as the mug that took this on. He is very funny, actually, and that is the secret. Because one of the things I'm going to be doing in the coming weeks, as you know, ladies, I'm going to be talking at an amazing must-go-to event called Pause Live, which is at the end of November. It's the final Saturday, I think, in November.
25th of November it is, yeah. We're going to be there too.
Yeah, can't wait. I'm so looking forward to this. And yes, I'm going to be talking about relationships, which some would say I'm not exactly an expert on, because I've screwed up many, huge amounts. But I've managed to nail this one. But as you've just seen, not tricky. If that one did not need an extra pull, with the rod. It just didn't. It came in fairly easily. It didn't get many offers prior to me, to be fair.
Ouch. He fell off a motorbike for you, didn't he?
He did fall off a motorbike for me. Stationary, I may add.
Stationary motorbike.
He was stationary, but it took him 4 hours to get from London down to my little beach hut. And had he actually been on time, none of this would have happened, because he'd have just come down for the day. He was... because Eddie and I do tend to spend a lot of time apart, and it's just one of those things. He had life up in London, and then and I work, and our children are very different ages. And a little while ago, Eddie went sailing, and I was told by the guy he'd gone sailing with that they were going to be picking up a load of bridesmaids for this wedding that they were going to, and that all the bridesmaids would be staying on the boat. And this chap said to me, he said, "Are you not sort of mildly worried about, him flirting, or, because, lots of wives have been..." I said, "Have you ever seen my husband flirt? Utterly crap. At age 16, hopeless, utterly, and nothing's got any better." So yeah, bless his heart. I don't worry about him, really.
Well, you do know a thing or two about relationships. You say you don't, but that's probably... Is that the subject you were thinking of talking about at Pause Live? Although I would imagine it might start with something and possibly go anywhere.
Oh my goodness! I mean, it's going to probably have to begin with the whole blind dating scene as a menopausal, during the menopause, and trying to sort of come to terms with your ever-changing mood, your body, and actually meeting this guy, because I actually had my hysterectomy after I met him. And he noticed a huge change in who I was, because I'd always been this very vibrant, bouncy, lively, sort of very happy-go-lucky. I travelled around the world for 11 years on my own between the ages of 18 to 29. Don't think of this as anything glamorous, brave, or, inspiring. None of that. It was absolutely because I didn't want to be on the same continent as my father when I got my A-level results. And when they finally came through, I thought I can never go back. That was it. And I swear to God, that is absolutely true. And so I just stayed away until I was 29, until I thought I could hold my own. But yeah, so when he met me, I was kind of a bit broken. You know, I'd had a few sort of bit of life's, kicks in the stomach with the divorce and everything, and trying to bring up two small kids and trying to keep it all together. But I was still pretty buoyant and lively. And then he took me on, God bless his soul. And as I say, I left our wedding and everything. But yeah, he saw a real distinct change in me until between my GP and a menopause specialist, of which there are going to be hundreds. But no, they're not hundreds. I'm exaggerating. I'm prone to that exaggeration.
At least a dozen.
A few.
But yeah, there's going to be lots and lots of menopause specialists at this wonderful event. And they changed my life. I think, in fairness, they changed my life. They saved my marriage. And I think possibly they kept my children at home a little bit longer. I think my children would have happily put themselves into care around about sort of the age 11 or 12, you know, as mum was sort of, you know, banging her head against a brick wall and rocking backwards and forwards and crying an awful lot. And yeah, generally losing the plot. So, so I will be talking about blind dating, relationships, the change in how you feel about things in your relationship, because your self-esteem walks out the door and your self-confidence. And if you're already in a bad place in your relationship or in a slightly fragile place, that can't be easy. But once again, I'm going to take it back to some kind of laughter. And there are lots of little tips. And I'm just going to use a little expression, the candle of hope. And I'm not putting it
drum
anywhere.
roll.
Oh,
Where's
yeah.
a drum roll?
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got a drum
And
roll.
I think
somewhere.
it's
You'll
really
probably break
important
it.
to mention this, ladies. You know, Pause Live, great title, not criticising the title. I would have gone with "We're going to be full of chocolate vulvas."
Because
I
it's
mean, we are, aren't we? They've got white chocolate vulvas. Who doesn't love that?
Well, I did take that sounds really bad. I did have one of those recently. They're quite sweet.
Well, was yours intact? Because mine was bit like my own. It was all crumbly and dried and fallen to pieces.
Well, the GP I spoke to standing next to me said it looked like it got herpes.
But I mean, there is that. But then you see, that's another reason to come along. We are going to, and I did a lovely live interview on my Instagram page where I interviewed Jenny Eclair, who was an absolute scream. She's just one of my heroes or heroines. I don't quite know what you call them these days. And I was a little bit nervous about interviewing Sunita because, obviously she was a huge icon of mine, another big hero. But I wasn't sure whether she'd get my sense of humour. And the first thing she said, I said, "So what are you going to talk about? What do you want to talk about?" And she said, "Oh, I've just had my vagina rejuvenated." And I thought, we're going to get on. We are so going to get on. You said the word vagina before you even said good afternoon.
Oh my God, that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah,
so Sunita's going to be there.
Yeah.
Cherry Healy's going to be there. Jenny Eclair. Lots of doctors, as you said.
Well, that's good, but there's loads of people in one place. It's a great day out.
Yeah, the
it's gonna be
ultimate
amazing.
ladies' day out, in fact.
And guys, and get some of your ladies, buy the book. I swear to God, it will. I mean, just have a good laugh at my expense. I mean, my life, as I say, is just one big disaster after another, but it's very relatable because I don't just talk lightly about the funny stuff. I actually do touch on what it is to be a woman in a modern woman in this modern day, because we are the sandwich generation. We weren't brought up with social media, and we're now having to deal with social media, but also for our kids as well. And even if you haven't had children, how you get judged on social media, whether you have a mad following like I do, or even just your own social media page. So it is and also we're, our parents are living longer. Our kids are having to go through loads of mental health issues. And we're going through the menopause. So, pile it on, God, come on,
Perfect
bring it on. But we've got to do it. We've got to do it. It's a natural phase. There's going to be so much information because at the end of the day, there's no little side door that gets you past it. There's no little, well, there is actually.
No shortcut.
There's no shortcut. And it's a natural phase. It can be debilitating, but there's going to be so much information, so much education, and you're going to be surrounded by your tribe, which I think is amazing.
Yeah. So that's Pause Live. Yes, you'll be signing your book. And can you tell our listeners where they can find your blog and your Facebook and buy your book?
Yes, absolutely. So on Facebook, I am Menopausal Mayhem Mothers. Now, there are two. There's a Menopausal Mayhem Mother and a Menopausal Mayhem Mothers. Both are me. And on Instagram, Menopausal Mayhem Mothers. And the books are... I've forgotten the name of the books. Confessions of the Menopausal Mayhem Mother, which is on Amazon. And the second one that was written when I had to have my boy put down, Mad Dogs and a Menopausal Englishwoman. There we go.
I can see it now.
Oh God, sorry, the Dad's army's on his way back in. Honestly,
Has he got a job?
I'm going to get some footage of me just pushing him in our pond because he does my head in.
Well, whilst you're having shenanigans with Edster, it's been absolutely lovely to talk to you. And we're looking forward to seeing you at the event on the 25th of November. Liz and I are going to be in Girls Just Want to Have Fun corner.
Yeah, it's in London, isn't it? Business Design Centre.
Yeah, it's an amazing venue, actually. And all the surrounding areas, because I've done my research. It's absolutely a fantastic ladies' day out because you can be there for the day. And actually, you know, having spoken to the organisers, if anybody wants to get in touch with me directly or through you even, I've got some free tickets and I've got tickets for £10 because I think it's £30 entrance fee. But they're giving away some really reduced tickets through us because we are, you know, I'm making this ridiculous. Oh, my goodness. Lord only knows what's going to fall out of my mouth. No, I don't even know. So that's going to be an interesting one. Jenny, Eclair and I hopefully will do a bit of a double act at some point, possibly not on stage and totally unscripted.
Excellent.
Well, we'll sit in the front row just in case you forget what you've got to say.
Yes, please do.
We'll be there. Thank you, Emma Skeates. You've been lovely to talk to. Thanks for joining us today.
No, thank you so much, girls. All the best.